Amen.
Amen.
L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim v'racha. Good tavach, Shavua Tov. Welcome, everybody, one and all. All right. And welcome to Livsha, Davida, Art, and Liba, Diane, Carol. I think that's Carol. Not certain. Elise, we have who's iPhone 229?
Rabbi.
Ah, okay. Andrew, Tim, Rachel, and E is with us. Wendy, Kim, and you. That'll come to me. All right. So, Parshas Vayishlach. Yaakov in the previous Parsha fathers 11 of the 12 tribes of Israel, dealing with the trickster, the deceiver Lavan, there for 20 years. Now he's heading back to the homeland. He's sending angels before him to check out what's going on with Esav, his brother. Is there reconciliation or not? He sends gifts, he prays to God, and he prepares for war. The night before, he ferries across the Yabok River. He remains alone, and he fights with the nemesis of Esav, his angel. Defeats him in a battle, but comes away with a dislocated hip, with the sciatic nerve, and yeah, all those who have the empathy for Yaakov, so they have sciatica. And his name is changed. The angel says, your name is going to be Israel now, not merely just Yaakov. Yaakov and Esav, they finally embrace, they come meet, and they part ways. Everything seems to work out. So now Yaakov is now coming to the land. And that's where the story picks up over here. The rest of the story, Yaakov, his wife Rachel gives birth to Binyamin and dies in childbirth. And the Torah concludes with the account of Esav's wives and grandchildren. Then ultimately, things will be settled with Esav, the end of times. Okay. Recall, we're doing a Rashi Sicha, and I'm going to share the screen here. Okay. I see there's only one place to share. Oh. There you go. All right. Amazing. Yeah, it's good. All right. Okay. So let's go straight into the story. And he purchased, Yaakov, the part of the field where he had pitched his tent from the sons of Hamor, father of Shechem, for 100 kesita. 100 kesita. Kesita is an unusual term. It is only found elsewhere in the book of Job, nowhere in the 5 books of Moses. But in the book of Job, that's it. So, of course, since it's an unusual term, Rashi proceeds to translate. It says Kisita, a coin known as a ma'ah. Rabbi Akiva said, when I traveled to the cities by the sea, they called a ma'ah Kisita. Okay. Again, why is Rashi explained? Because it is a term that is not normally used, right? It's not common. It is discussed in Talmudic literature. And Yaakov purchased the field for 100 ma, a common transaction in in that era. Well, seemingly simple. Anybody have any questions here before we proceed with the Rebbe Sicha and the questions the Rebbe has? You have any problems with Rashi? Anything that need understanding? No, we're good. So maybe we should just close up. Everything's good. The Rashi's good. Okay, we won't.
We're good.
Yeah, right. All right, but we're going to see that there's other translations to this word kisita, a little more exotic. And it's first from the sage Rabbi Yonasan ben Uziel, who lived in the land of Israel in the 1st century. He's known as Targum Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem translation into Aramaic. And the second will also be written in the land of Israel by the authorized by Onkelos, who was a convert himself from Rome in the 2nd century. Targum Onkelos, Rashi very often brings down. Let's review the two translations that they have. Oops. So, according to the Yonasan ben Uziel, Targum Yonasan, he says, and he purchased a field where he pitched his tent for the sons of Hamar, father of Shem, for 100 gems. So, Kisita, he says it's 100 gems. Onkelos says, translating the verse again, purchased a part of the field where he pitched his tent from the sons of Hamor, father of Shem, for 100 sheep. Okay. So Jerusalem translation, 100 gems. Onkelos translation, 100 sheep. Rashi disagrees with them. Rashi, who lived 1,000 years later, right? He disagrees with them and translates it as a ma, based on a foreign language. Ma was, as we mentioned, was a common coin that was used at that time in that place. So it makes sense to assume that the purchase was made with 100 ma. However, Rashi, as much as admits that no one in Eretz Yisrael referred to the coin as a kesita. More than 1,500 years later, Rabbi Akiva, who he quotes, right? Remember, Rashi quoted Rabbi Akiva, who traveled a great distance across the sea to find that they used an exotic name for the coin in a foreign language. Right? The word kesita, right, was used in a foreign language. So remember, Jacob is in Israel. He bought it for a kesita. He bought with a kesita, right? The question is, what does that kesita word mean? Rashi saying it's 100 ma, 100 coins. The ma was used at that time, right? But the kesita, 1,500 years later, we know from Rebbe Akiva, because he went to a far off place, and there they had a kesita and they called it a ma, right? That's what we learned from Rashi. Let's go back to Rashi for a second. Right, kesita, here we have the Rashi in front of us, 1b. Right, it's a coin known as a ma. So the ma we know. That's a terminology for coinage that we know. But the kesita, how do we know it's a ma? Because Rabbi Akiva, he traveled to cities by the sea, and they called it a ma. They called it a ma kesita. which means not in Israel, far off in the yonder, 1500 years later, right? Is that clear? So the question is, there are two other Aramaic translations that were written in the land of Israel and Rabbi Akiva's eras, they lived at the same time, and understood Kisita differently, as a gem or as a sheep. This tells us the Kisita had more than one meaning in Hebrew, but it did not mean a coin according to them, right? Now, if Rashi is going to choose a translation, why did he choose choose a Hebrew one common in Eretz Yisrael where the translation took place? Remember, Kisita, it was something that is a terminology that's used somewhere else. Why not use the term for Kisita that was used in Israel, which was a gem or sheep? 100 gems or 100 sheep. Why choose this exotic foreign language in a distant land? Now, it's true that it was Rabbi Akiva is saying 1500. Remember, Rabbi Akiva lived in the second century. The story with Jacob took place 1500 years earlier. Okay? So we don't know if that Kisita term was used in Israel to refer to coinage back then. Why would Rashi assume so? I hope that that's clear, my questions, or the Rebbe's questions on the Sikha. Anybody not clear that I should repeat it? Hmm?
Andrew sent the message.
What?
Andrew sent the message. Joshua said pieces of silver.
Joshua?
Said pieces of silver.
What do you mean, Joshua? Where's Joshua come into the picture? Andrew? Andrew, you want to explain yourself? Again, look. Rashi is saying a kesita is a coin called a mo, right? A mo, that term we're actually going to find out in a moment. We know we have that term, as we'll see in a moment, in the Torah. The question is, why are we why is he saying that it's a mo, which is 100 coins, right? Or 100 silver coins? Is that what he meant? Silver coins, yes. Where does Rashi know that? Because Rabbi Akiva, 1500 years later, when he traveled outside of Israel, they called the Kesita mo. How do you know that they called it that 1500 years earlier in Israel? What's the assumption, right? Furthermore, it's outside of Israel. Maybe in Israel they never had that in Israel, that term for money. So then why not just go with either gem or sheep, which is what the translations are given as from Yonason ben Uzziel or from Onkelos. The question even becomes greater. As we mentioned, the Torah rarely uses the word kesita, right? But the Torah does talk about a coin that we've been calling amah, right? But the Torah calls it actually a gera. Let's see. Harshus kisisa. Our ancestors were told that they have to bring an atonement for the holy or they have to bring a donation of half a shekel as a tax for building the tabernacle. The Torah describes the half a shekel, right? Oops. Second. It says Esrin Gera shekel. The shekel is 20 gera. Rashi, what's a gera? Gera, a word that means ma, right? That means ma. So what? Here we have everything solved now. We don't need to speculate. The coins that were called back then, they were called a ma, right? I mean, the ma was called a gera. It wasn't called a kesita. Very clear, because the Torah tells us, right? I mean, the story after Yaakov in the desert, we're talking about was a few hundred years later, more or less the same time period. Coinage didn't change that much. They probably got rid of the penny, but otherwise, yeah. So we see that the Torah uses as payment for a ma is called a gera. It's not called a kesita. So where does Rashi come off and say in our parsha that the word kesita means a ma? Torah tells us differently later on. So why not go with just with the, with either gem or sheep? Okay, is the question clear? Hope I'm not making your head work too hard, but that's my job.
But Rabbi, why did it mention Kesita in the first place?
No, Torah says kesita. That doesn't matter. Torah says it, that's the question. Rashi has to explain, right? That's a fact. Now the question is why, right? So Rashi, so you see that one says gem, one says sheep. Rashi says, no, it's a ma. Yeah, but a ma is a gera. We see that later on. That's very clear. That's a term that's often used. So where's a kesita become a ma? A gera is a ma, right? There's another question over here now. In the principles of Rashi, the fact that he says Rabbi Akiva said, when I travel to the cities of the sea, why are we bringing Rabbi Akiva said? Why in the name of Rabbi Akiva? There must be something here that knowing that it's Rabbi Akiva that said this, that's adding to the simple meaning of the text. We need to know that to understand the idea over here. So we need to, what does that mean? Furthermore, even if you need to know it's Rabbi Akiva, why do you have to know that he went to the cities by the sea? Who cares? He went to a far-off land. Cities by the sea? There's obviously something you want to say by that, right? Now, the cities by the sea, but not whatever, something other place. Why is that significant? We need to understand that. Okay. We're good? How are we doing, folks?
Good.
Any questions before we move on? I want to make sure. I know that we're learning Rashi Sikha, and it's a little, more engaging of the mind. So you got to really focus. I want to make sure before we go on clear. Can I get thumbs up? We're good. Thumbs up.
Ma is a place, right?
Ah,
Ma was a place.
no. Ma is an amount is value 100.
Okay.
Call it $100.
Okay.
He bought the verse says kisita. Rashi says $100. Okay.
Yeah.
Ma. Targum Unkelis says 100 gems. Unkelis says 100 sheep. We know that the word ma is a translation for the word in the Torah gera, because the word gera is used in the Torah clearly for money. That's clear. Half a shekel is 20 gera. A gera is a ma, Rashi says, right? So we have the relationship and money there clearly defined in the Torah. but not Kasita. So whereas all of a sudden now Kasita becomes a ma, Gera is a ma. So are you translating Kasita to be a ma? $100? Where you come up with that? Unclus and the two Aramaic translations sound more appropriate. I mean, that itself, we also need to understand where they get it from, but it sounds more fitting into what it was in the day. That's our question. Then our next question was, why do you mention Rebbe Akiva? There's something about knowing that Rebbe Akiva, right? And why is it the specific things that when he went to the cities by the sea, what do we need to know that for? That he heard that from a far off, just say from a far off land. You know, you don't even have to say his name. Just say, you can make a reference in the Talmud. It says far off land, Kasita was a ma. Okay. So you don't need Rebbe Akiva to tell that it's in the name of Rebbe Akiva, but you're saying his name, so there has to be significance to that. And does it cities by the seas? What do you need that for? Obviously, there's a significance there. Just say a far off lands. So everything is precise. That's the point. Okay. Now I'm out of breath.
It's so cryptic.
You're
You're
making
fine.
work. You're making me work hard. That's good. That's good. I like that.
It's so cryptic.
Not cryptic. It's very nuanced. It's not cryptic at all. No, I mean it's cryptic in the sense because we have questions now. We don't have answers. Wait, we're gonna get there. Okay. All right. So Rashi, who did you write his commentary for? For who? Thank you for your hand. Thank you for giving a hand. He wrote it for the 5-year-old in us, right? Yeah, I know. That's I just. He wrote it for the 5-year-old in us that we're not yet. Right? In other words, simplistic, right? That seems right now far from simplistic, but you know, the problem is being that we're not simplistic as the 5-year-old, we miss on the simplistic questions. You know, we have more sophisticated outlook on life, right? And that's the key over here. Rashi's bothered by the 5-year-old's question. What happened? This is Yaakov entering where? The land of Israel. Where's he going? Where's he going? Hello? Where's he going? Home to his father, right? Home. Where's home? In Gerar, which is, I think, Gaza. Yeah, it's in Gaza. But he's first entering the land from Mesopotamia, from Haran, and he comes to Shechem. And what did our verse say? That he bought a plot of land for? What are you going home? Why are you buying a plot of land? What are you doing? Right? If your father's not there, so why are you purchasing land? You burying anybody? No. The burial anyways in Hebron. I mean, Rachel will be later passing away, right? But she's going to be buried in Beis Lachem. That's a different story, right? Why did Yaakov purchase land to establish a homestead in Shechem? It was only a temporary stay over. He could have just called up and gone online, get an Airbnb, right? Cheaper than buying land. After all, actually, that's what he first did. He was on public land.
Mhm.
Another question is, so what's the other question now? Come on. First of all, why are you buying land? And secondly, why does the Torah have to tell us how much he paid for? A kisita, Rashi says $100, 100 whatever, ma, right? Call that $100.
Yeah.
What is the Torah telling this for? Bishlema, when it came to Avram, there was a whole give and take when he was buying the Maras Machpelah to bury his wife Sarah there. It's the first purchase of the land of Israel. It's a big deal. All the patriarchs and matriarchs are there, except for Rachel, of course, and Adam and Eve actually are buried there too. Esau's head is also buried there, right? So there was a whole negotiations, and he bought a full price. They should have but here there's no negotiations. Doesn't seem to be anything significant over here. It's not. It wasn't the burial spot. Shechem is where Yosef is buried, not the burial spot of Yosef. Right? It's just a place where he pitched his tent, and he's there over the. He's there for a little bit, a few days, right?
Mm.
He for sure didn't want to overpay because what was the point? Simple questions. It just flew under our radar. Well, one day we'll turn 5, and we'll be able to ask the questions.
Hmm.
Right.
He didn't want to have land without any question. Maybe he just wanted to buy land without have any, negotiations with
What do you
tourists
mean?
or,
Yeah, but that itself is a question.
yeah.
The point is it's a question.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's a question. Why does he do it? Right. And why does the Torah have to tell us the amount? The Torah is not telling us it. We have to be very, very clear. We're not learning a story. We're learning Torah. Torah is God's wisdom. So God's giving us a message here. He's telling us something with it. So what's he telling me? What do I need to know? When Avram bought the Marsa Machpelah, so the Rebbe explains that he's paid the full value, big, the top notch kind of coins, the best quality coins. One of the reasons is that no one in the future should come and say it was partially a gift. That's what he wanted to do. Efren Achiti wanted to give as a gift. I mean, he was playing it, right? But no, he wanted full value, full price, and no one should come and say, "Oh, it was kind of gifted." We have a hold on the land. We have some, it still belongs to us. No, 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 no. It belongs to Avram. It belongs to the Jewish people, period. Right? Oh, that's an important thing. And now we understand what the Torah tells us that how much and that it's full value and so on and so forth. But over here, what we need to understand. So the passage is telling us 2 things over here. That the first night, here, let's go back onto the share over here. And we have the previous text to our text. I mean, it says, and Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. He first entering into the land when he arrived from Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. So it tells us 2 things. Yaakov is the first night in Eretz Yisrael, first stop in the Holy Land, and he pitches tent on public lands outside of the city without purchasing land. It's only in the next passage, which is our passage that Rashi, where it says kisita, that he bought it for a kisita, right? For a ma, for $100 or whatever you want to call it, right? Not 100 gems, not 100 sheep, that he purchased the land on the tents that were already pitched. Why did he do it? Is because the land of Israel is so beloved to him. The moment he enters into the land, he wants to have a piece of the land. own the real estate there. That's why. And this is a 5-year-old's understanding. He lives in a proper Jewish home where parents, they daven and they face, and the children daven, they face to Jerusalem, they're facing to Israel. It's in our prayers 3 times a day that God should return us back to the land of Israel. He sits down to a meal, and after he benches and thanks God, he mentions about Israel. He mentions about Jerusalem. The love for the land of Israel and the child, it's in their bones.
Which
It's a part.
the store that we want us to raise 60% of it.
It's in the bones of the child. As Maimonides says, our greatest sages would kiss the borders of Israel and the stones and roll in its dust. As the psalmist declares, behold your servants, hold her stones dear, and cherish her dust. Our sages thought that the sins of those who dwell in the land of Israel are forgiven. As the passage states, the inhabitant will not say, I am sick. The people who dwell there will be absolved of sin. Even if one walks 4 cubits there, will merit the world to come. Those who are buried receive atonement as if their burial place is an altar of atonement. So the child feels the love in the bones, and makes sense that Yaakov felt it too. And that after all, he lived 63 years with his parents in the land. So the love of the land he had. He was forced to flee. Now he's coming home. So he has a love for his parents, but he also has a love for the land itself. And now he just entered the land. I want a piece of it. That's why he bought the land, even though he's there for a short time. Because he doesn't want to be a guest on his own land. He wants to own it. So he buys it. Is that clear? So living in Israel, yeah, that's what he wants. Immediately. He's going to go back to his parents. Okay, but in the meantime, here, I just entered the land. I want a piece of it. Okay, that's why he bought the land. But why does the Torah have to tell us the amount? That's irrelevant. By Avram, it was relevant, as we mentioned before, because he had to pay the full value. So Torah has to tell us he paid top price and he gave the best quality coins of the day. Then no one should ever question who owns Chevron or Masa Machpelah, right? But why does the Torah have to tell us how much he paid for the land here? Who needs to know, right? Especially it's not a permanent place. Like he didn't come back to claim it later. I mean, it's ours today, right? But he didn't come back to claim it later, that he bought it then. So of course, he didn't want to overpay. He wanted to pay a normal price. And he probably even told him, listen, I'm only buying this, as a short term. Fine, okay. So that way the price would not be exorbitant. Why does the Torah have to tell us it all? And this is the question Rashi seeks to answer in the translation of the word kisita. Right? The word is kisita. And with this, Rashi is going to explain to us why Torah had to tell us the amount. And why the amount is not a gem, and it's not sheep, not 100 gems, not 100 sheep, but it's 100 mo. Right? Because Rashi wanted to demonstrate in the buying of the land his love for the land. You hear that? In the act of buying, he wanted to demonstrate his love for the land. What does that mean? The word kisita has another meaning to it. Ornament. An ornament like kishutim in Hebrew. So it means an ornament. It means that Yaakov gave coins, kisita, that are ornaments. That they're not only money, but they serve as ornaments at the same time. And Rashi tells us in the cities by the sea, these coins were used as ornaments. Let's see as the Rebbe explains. Sicha. Okay, here we go. To explain the significance of the coin, Rashi quotes Rabbi Akiva when I traveled to the cities by the sea, they call the ma kisita. The word kisita connotes kishutim, ornaments. Why would the least valuable coin of the mana be called an ornament? This demonstrates that sometimes, even if the monetary value of a coin is insignificant, it can have sentimental value when it is used as an ornament. They are therefore called ornaments. Using the foreign name kisita informs us that Jacob, out of the love of the land, used special coins to purchase the parcel of land in Israel, coins that doubled as ornaments. So they were not an expensive quality of coin, right? But they double as an ornament. Because the Torah could have said, what? 5 shekel. 5 shekel is how much? A shekel is 20 gera, right? Which a gera is a ma, right? So that would give you 100. 5 times 20 is 100, right? That would give you 100. So if the Torah wanted to speak in the terminology of the Torah, it would have said shekel, because the shekel we see later on in Parshat Sisa, right? You have to give half a shekel. So if it wanted to use that, but it didn't use that term. Why? Because he was using the ma, which is a lower value coin, because it doubles also as an ornament. Maybe they made necklace, they used it for making some, ornaments. They made ornaments out of it. He deliberately paid with 100 of these little coins to show his love for the land of Israel. Ornamental coins to show the sentimental value that the land has for him. It's not that the coins cost more money. Not because of that, right? But it did take more effort because those are coins that you don't have as readily available, right? And the reason why he did it, again, is to show how cherished it is, what he is purchasing here. Now, where do we know that this is the fact? Is because in foreign metropolises, cities by the sea, the capitals of fashion, they would, where there's a bustling economy in high societies, that's what they did with these coins. They were used as coins, but they doubled as ornaments. So therefore, Rashi can translate the kisita to mean sheep or gems. Gems, first of all, are very expensive. That means he would have paid a lot of money for it. He didn't. Right? Sheep have no sentimental value. So, the giving of that would not express the endearment of the land. Only the fact that it is a kisita, is a ma, that is used as money, but also doubles as an ornament. He's expressing his love for the land, that he's purchasing land, right? And he's purchasing a land, and the expression of the giving of the money is that it's got sentimental value. Now, why is it this something that is expressed? Remember, we asked the question, why do we have to know that it's, cross the land by the seas, by the cities by the seas? because those were the metropolitan cities.
Mm.
That's where high fashion came from. And what usually, the fashion in your city is not what's fashionable. It's what comes from Italy is fashionable in Montreal. What's fashionable in New York is fashionable in Paris, because whatever is fashionable in your place, it's always what, makes the headlines elsewhere. So, as it were, right? Has much more powerful because look, I just came from Paris and look what I got, right? So that's why Rashi emphasizes the fact that it was cities by the seas. That clear? We're left with one question. What's the one question? Why do we have to know that it's Rabbi Akiva? Why is that necessary? In other words, we could have said, as the Talmud tells us, that the word Kesita means a ma, as found by the cities by the seas. Right? You have to know it's Rabbi Akiva. It's not important to know that it's him, but the fact that Rashi says it means it's important. Yeah? So the Rebbe says like this. It's just amazing how if you're following this, you shouldn't, be sitting in your skin. It's just like, wow. So, okay, it's one thing that Yaakov wants to buy land as he enters into the land of Israel. Okay, we get that, right? He wants to express his love of the land. He doesn't want to be a guest on his own in the land. So he purchases, right? Remember, we're only learning this according to Rashi's simple meaning. That doesn't mean that there are not many other explanations and many other understandings, right? But we're with our blinkers and we're only trying to understand this one way of Rashi. So the question is, Torah is very precise, right? It's not wasting words. So we're talking about Rashi now, right? And Torah itself, but Rashi being, um, why do we need to know Kasita? Why is that? The fact that he bought land, we get that. That we get. That's how precious Israel is to us. We get that. You got a moment, you can buy land. Buy land. By the way, if you could do that today, you have money to buy land in Israel. Wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. Right? Land, whatever. But after all, it's a temporary stop, right? The fact that he's giving a sentimental, like he's giving Casito that is a coin and doubles as an adornment, nice, but like, no. And if you gave regular coin, if you gave the 5 shekels instead, that doesn't show his love of the land, right? It's a minor detail about the coins, right? In the sale itself is showing his love. The first night, first night he came there, he didn't purchase. He stayed over. Obviously, he was very eager. Daytime came, he wanted to purchase. Wonderful. So okay, so you did it with some fancy coins, right? No. So the answer is Torah's teaching us a lesson. Yes, it's minor. Yeah, maybe. Or it's a phone. Yeah. Yes, it's minor. And that's the point that Torah wants to teach us. A minor compliment of Yaakov that he did something thoughtful that's minor. It's like it's insignificant in the end, right? But it's a minor thing. Recognize it. That's what Torah wants to teach us. Remember, Torah comes to the word Hayrah, it's a guide. Torah comes to teach us that even when you do a simple minor thing like that, the major thing is you bought land. You show your endearment, your connection to the land. But the fact that the fact that you did it with these coins to express further, further connection. It's a minor thing. Yeah, minor compliment is worth giving. Yeah. Only when you did a great job, I'll say you did a great job. You did a little job, okay, so I don't need to compliment. No, Terry's coming to compliment. Terry's complimenting him. We need to compliment. And with that, that's why we have Rabbi Akiva here. For Rabbi Akiva, there's no such thing as a small compliment. For Rabbi Akiva, it was unique in that if he would see 99 negative things about a person, but there's one complimentary thing about that person, that's what he would focus in on, that one positive thing. That's what the Talmud tells us about him, how positive he is. We know many stories of him, right? When he would go with his colleagues and they would go into the ruins of the Holy Temple, and they lived after the destruction. And, he started to laugh and be alive. He was positive. He was Mr. Positive, right? That's how he's known, as Mr. Positive. I mean, he's known as a great scholar, right? But he's always positive, right? We see that. Always look for something positive. We see that notion. There's a debate in the Talmud of, God forbid, a child who passes away at a young age and they don't have their own merits and their parents are evil, are wicked. Do they get Olam Haba? So there's an opinion. Rabbi Gamliel says no, because they didn't earn it. And the only other way you could get it is by the merit of your parents, wicked parents. It's nothing against them, right? Not because they're bad, but he says it's something to be merited. They didn't merit, right? So they don't get. Rabbi Akiva argues. Rabbi Akiva argues, and he says they do get. Rabbi Akiva said they are granted entry into the world to come, as the passage says, Shem Psoim Havaya, that God guards Psoim in the cities by the sea. They called a child a Psoya. Interesting. Simple meaning of Psoyim means simpleton. The God protects the simpleton. That's how most people translate that verse. Rabbi Akiva, he found an alternative explanation. Where did he find it? Not at home. He had to travel. In his travels to foreign land, he would take pain to learn the foreign language. And there he saw that children are called Pesayim. So he read this verse differently, that God protects the children. He protects them. Even what is when he protects them? Obviously, God protects children, right? Even if they have wicked parents and they have no merit in their lives because, God forbid, a child dies as very young. What mitzvahs they do, before bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah, right? So where do you find that, that they should get? Torah has to teach us this. So Rabbi Akiva went out of his way so he could find a way to find their merits based on Torah. And he did it. He would always travel to intercede for the sake of the Jewish people, whether it was to Rome, to the authorities there on behalf of the Jews, to raise money for the impoverished Jews. And when we go, he would learn from the people, grow from them, but always he wanted to discover something that could help a Jew. That's what he wanted to do. So not just to help, it would help by going to the Roman authorities, by collecting monies for impoverished people, but he would want to help also a soul that left this world before it at a young age and has seemingly no merit. He's looking for that soul to give it merit. He found it by the cities of the sea. As the Rebbe explains in the Sicha, so intense was Rabbi Akiva's desire to favor Jews that his entire journey to the cities by the sea would have been worthwhile merely to favor the Jews, to gain the ability to determine that children of wicked Jewish parents have a share in the world to come, even if they die young. Wow. Is that powerful or what? So knowing this about Rabbi Akiva, we can understand why Rashi tells us Rabbi Akiva discovered the word Kesita during his travels. The Rebbe says in the Sicha, Rashi hints at this by saying, Rabbi Akiva said, when I traveled to the cities by the sea, this was the same visit to the cities by the sea during which Rabbi Akiva heard people calling children B'sayim, by which he determined that children have a share in the world to come. This same visit to the cities by the sea yielded yet another opportunity for Rabbi Akiva to advocate the advocate of Jews, rather, to highlight the favor of a Jew. He discovered that, albeit minor way, to demonstrate Jacob's love of Israel, Jacob purchased land. He did not intend to use it as a permanent home with 100 kesita, coins that doubled his ornaments. So no matter what brought Rabbi Akiva to the cities of the seas, he spent that time looking for ways to help Jews. Whether it was learning from the local dialect, whatever it was, so he could understand better Tehillim as a result of King David. Or that he can understand, Kesitas means Amah. Oh, and Amah we know can be used as an ornament. And the word Kesita means ornament. Oh my gosh. He found a new understanding, a deeper understanding of the story of Yaakov and buying and purchasing the land in Shechem. To tell us that the Torah tells us, of course, about his purchase in the land of Israel that he purchased immediately, even though he was there for such a short time, to show us about the love that we need to have for the land of Israel. But that the Torah is also teaching us the idea of seeing the compliment in a small little gesture that he gave 100 kesita that are coins of adornment, which is beautiful. So by telling us that it was Rabbi Akiva who discovered the import of the word kesita, Rashi explains why the Torah says something nominally complimentary about Yaakov to show that no compliment is unimportant. So Rebbe says we now understand why the Torah adds Jacob paid 100 gesita. According to Rebbe Akiva, who also sought to favor Jews, he must seek to highlight a Jew's strengths at every opportunity. The Torah relates that Jacob paid 100 gesita, though it was a minor compliment, because we must always share even a minor compliments. When we get into a habit of speaking well of others, it eventually becomes second nature. Wow. So, what do we learn from all of this? Of course, the love of the land is a given, no doubt, which the love of the land today means that we do for the land in our Torah study in honor for the land of Israel and for the inhabitants in the land, and those are protecting the land. Absolutely.
Rabbi, no
Right?
matter how small of a celebratory compliment it is, but still do it. That's what I understand.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and so also teaches us that when you do something that seems small, or someone does something small, recognize it and make something big about it. Why? Because then you get into a habit and looking for the good, to be habitual. When we look for only big things to compliment, you know, wonderful from time to time, but it's not, you know, consistent. It's not consistent, but small things are consistent. Wow, what a lesson. Especially in marriage, for our children, right? That's really that, to see the small thing to comment about that's easy to overlook, right? Because it was small. Wow. So first of all, of course, doing that is in a genuine, authentic way, obviously, but when you do that, it's helps that person, first of all, right, that it's recognized, so they then will want to model that even more so, that good quality. Secondly, of course, as we said, that makes us habituate seeing good. And those are two huge things that are sorely missing. So Rashi adds Rebbe Akiva, because that was Rebbe Akiva. Kamzula Taiva, as he would say, oh, this is also for the good. He sees destruction and he laughs because he sees that means eventually there's going to be the rebuilding of the Holy Temple. He sees children that have no merit. He's got to bring merit to them. So it's not like I don't think he went running to find this, but it was something, a part of him that was important to him. That can't be that because they have wicked parents and therefore they have no merit. Must be a way. So it was on him that his eyes opened up. Oh, he goes over to the cities by the seas and Kasit, and there he hears not Kasita, but Pesayim means children. Oh, the verse, God's guarding the children. Usually, most people, again, simple meaning means fools, right? It's okay. To get not everything, remember, has to mean simple meaning. Depends on what level you're learning. Rabbi Akiva is learning, he's expounding a verse to bring out a teachings or a principle. That's fine. That's when it comes to the children. In our instance, he saw that the word Kisita is used as a mall. Same place. Maybe the same travels. Who knows? I mean, it says the same words, right? Travel to the cities by the seas. Maybe it was the same time or a different time, whatever. So he's looking to benefit. So God opens up his eyes and gives him the opportunity to see it. Wow. Okay. Any questions? Any comments? Hmm. Okay. I don't see any questions on line. All right.
Needs repeating to get all the
Huh?
benefit.
Well, let's
It
go
needs
back to the
repeating.
verse. You want to go back to the verse and see it in the verse? Yeah?
Well, I don't want to keep everybody, but just, it's just a lot of things to take in, and I'm sure I missed something.
Yes, it was definitely a lot to take in.
For me, anyway. I won't speak for anybody else.
No, I think for all of us. Here's the Rashi, right? Kisita, well, actually before the Rashi, the verse. And he purchased the part of the field where he pitched his tent from the sons of Hamor, father of Shem, for 100 Kisita. That's what the verse says. Meyach Kisita, right? Rashi's bothered by the word Kisita because it's not a word that's used. It says Kisita, coin, as a mo. Okay, finish. You could have finished there, right? We had a problem there. How does Rashi know that it's a ma? We know that a ma is a gevra. Later on, we learn, right? Why does he learn according to that it's sheep or it's gems? 100 sheep or 100 gems. Another interpretation. Where's Rashi get this? Right? And furthermore, why do you have to tell us it's Rebbe Akiva? And then he traveled to the cities by the seas. He traveled, wherever it matters where. That by the cities, and if it wasn't the cities of the seas, so then they called it Amal, is a Kisita. So the answer is, what's the answer? What's bothering Rashi? 5-year-olds. Why is Yaakov buying land? He's not going to live there. He's going to his father. He just entered into the land of Israel. So what does he need it for? It's only temporary. It's because he loves the land so much. He loves his father. He loves his mother. He loves home. But he loves the land too. He enters in the land. He wants to have, he doesn't want to be a guest on his own land. He wants to purchase it, even though it's there temporarily, to show his love. To show the love, he shows it even more in how he expresses it in giving kesita, which kesita also means takshiting, means adornment, right? That these coins were also used for adornment. They doubled, right? So he wanted to show it to express his love in a loving manner, so to speak, in the coins that he actually purchased with. That's what he did. Right? Why by the cities of the sea? Because those were metropolitans where the fashion was. Right? For our fashion, takes hold in other places. People say, ooh, they do that in Paris. Okay, we're going to do it here too. That's what the new style in Paris. Okay. Why Rabbi Akiva? Because you might ask, like, to purchase the land, that's really important to show your love and devotion to the land. But they did it in a minor thing about the coins. That's not minor or incidental. No, nothing's minor about incidentals are not minor. Recognize the small little thing and compliment it. Sator is complimenting the way he is giving, that we should learn a lesson from that. And that's who Rabbi Akiva was all about. Child had no merit. He found merit. He had to travel, and through his travels, that's how, he had an eye-opening, an epiphany, because he's always looking for the favor for the Jew. That's what he's always doing. And that's why it's in the name of Rabbi Akiva. It's the name of the Rabbi Akiva in the Talmud, but Rashi didn't have to say it here. There's no, right? He's saying it to give us the value, to hint to us. He's not openly saying this, right? This is a deeper part in Rashi right here. He's hinting to us that a small little compliment, don't make it, it's not small. In Rabbi Akiva's eyes, it's big. Right? And that's what the verse is bringing up. Imagine that. One little simple Rashi, look what the Rebbe makes a universe turn around. The universe turned around on this. How is anybody sitting there in just like not jumping? We should be doing cartwheels. that the Rebbe had such a kindness to us to teach us how to think in Rashi's teachings, how to think, period. Without this, you didn't, well, we thought, we didn't think. Like that was giving a way to think, that we could think like a 5-year-old. Halavai. Well, like unbelievable. Such a gift that we have, that we can have this in our lives. Chaim, is that clear now?
Little acts of kindness.
Huh?
Mashiach now.
Amen. Lisha, yeah, it's clearer now?
Yes, thank you.
Remind me, thank you for that, Lisha, that we should always go back to the Pasuk, to the Rashi, so we could see it again in Rashi, the whole thing come together. Before, Rashi didn't make sense. The whole thing didn't make sense. And now when we look at it, it's oh my gosh, obviously that's what it means. What else could it mean? Baruch Hashem. All right, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
God bless.
God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.